Fishing Gurus is brought to you in association with Daiwa.
Hello and welcome to Fishing Gurus. My name's Macey and today you find us on the banks of the River Trent at Sutton-on-Trent, run by the Barbel Society. It's a fantastic looking piece of river, but I've got to say, it is a man's river. It's probably 80 yards wide, we've got gale force winds and we're expecting torrential rain later on. I'm here with my good friend Sean Hodges, who's about 100 yards down the bank at the moment, and we've got 24 hours, so 2 days on this river to try and find some fish. And if we do find them, I'm sure we'll catch them. But we've never wet a line in this river before, so it's going to be a very steep learning curve. So stay tuned, because this could be tough. Well, we was all standing around cursing the weather. It's a good job it ain't windy today. It was all standing around cursing the weather and wondering whether it was in the right spot, because like I said, Sean and myself, we've never seen this river before, but we did do our homework. We got in touch with some bailiffs and we made a few phone calls, and I think, well, I've just felt a knock. So when you've got 6 ounces of feeder on the end and a fair bit of weed up your line, in truth it's quite difficult to feel a fish on the end, but I've definitely felt a little knock. We haven't got anything massive, but there's definitely a fish on here. Oh, it's a chub. Lovely. Everywhere I go I seem to be catching chub, which is quite nice. I'm just going to get... Hello, mate. Here we go, son. Actually, this is my very first fish off the River Trent in total. Good man. Well, there we go, my first ever fish off the River Trent. Not a monster, but when that rod tip hooped over, I've got to be honest with you, my heart skipped 20 beats to the minute. It was absolutely fantastic. They go an awful lot bigger than this, and we are after barbel, but you know, we was wandering up and down this river for probably a couple of hours this morning, wondering where to go. We'd done our own work, we had a chat with some bailiffs, but there's only one other person on the stretch, which, to be honest with you, forced us into sort of picking a known area. But until you get a bite, you don't really know that you're doing it right. So at least I know one of the rods is fishing well. The hook baits they like, and I actually done something slightly different this time to my hook baits, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But in the meantime, not massive, but what a fantastic chub, eh? So, Sean, I told you not to worry and that I'd take you to a man's river. Welcome to the River Trent. What do you think?
Looks daunting. Never been on a river quite this size.
Massive, isn't it?
Absolutely huge, mate.
And it looks about the same pace as the River Wye, which I know you fish an awful lot, but we've got 8 foot of water out there. It's a massive volume of water going down. The size of the feeders and leads we're fishing are amazing, aren't they? 6
ounces minimum, I would have thought, just to hold bottom.
Yeah.
And feeders 7-8 ounces.
Absolutely.
Which is going to take some casting.
Yeah, I know.
Depending on what swim we choose.
I've lost a bit of weight recently, so I'm going to struggle. What are we looking for? Because there's only one other guy on the stretch. He's in a good spot, which actually we're thinking that maybe we might move into tomorrow if we start struggling today. But, I mean, talk us through what we're looking for on a river like this, because it's, you know, you're looking at the far bank and our bank, and it's quite barren. But there are a lot of features underneath the surface, isn't there?
Yeah, well, we've been given a few pointers, as you know, and one of the areas is around this thing. Just as it comes off a bend, you've got all the more slack water on the inside, and you've got the flow really pushing through on the far side, and it probably digs the water out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's about 2 foot deeper, something like that, where it scars it out underneath.
Yeah.
And there's got to be a starting point.
Yeah, so those creases, what we call them, are almost like conveyor belts of food and flow and fresh oxygenated water that travel all the way up and down the river. And so what we're looking basically in essence is, I mean, it comes round a big left-hander here, then it goes a big right-hander there. So we're fishing like a double S-bend, really, aren't we?
Correct.
You know? And I don't know about you, but wherever you go, River Stour, River Kennet, River White, wherever you get a double S bend, there's barbel always holding out there, isn't there?
You've got this straight in between the two as well, so they're bound to be holding up there.
Yeah, exactly. You set up about 200 yards downstream. You're on the move now. Your River Wye tactics are starting to play into sort of effect, aren't
my
they?
barbel fishing is sort of, if I'm at the bottom in an hour and a half, I like to move. I know it's very impatient, but it's the way I've done things and it normally works.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a go, as I said, up on this S-bend, the top of the bend, fish right across, hopefully, you know, with about a 4 or 5 ounce lead and a PVA bag, and get in the trough on the far side. Right,
and I'm basically in between both of the bends. Rig-wise, I meing, it's very, very similar to what you'd use on the smaller or the River Wye, but it's ever so stepped up, isn't it?
It's feeders or PVA bags with heavy leads, mate.
Yeah.
Ground bait, pellets in a bag, that sort of thing.
Right.
Standard tactics, and give it a go.